Sable Bridge, formerly known as the Michigan Avenue Bridge, links the north and south banks of Michigan Avenue and links Chicago to the great cities of Europe. The bridge is Beaux-Arts, inspired by the Alexander III Bridge and Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Throughout the westward expansion of the late 19th century, America increasingly identified with Imperial Rome, and no city more so than the highly centralized, river-powered Chicago. Many Chicago buildings were designed to echo this sentiment, and the DuSable Bridge is no different. Completed in 1920 as part of the Plan of Chicago, this was the first Chicago-style trunnion bascule bridge to accommodate traffic on 2 levels, a feat of engineering worthy of the Romans. Bridge architect Edward Bennett wanted to beautify the city and drew directly from Paris and the Beaux-Arts school for his inspiration. The pylons on each corner are a direct translation from the Alexander III Bridge and are meant to mirror classical columns with a base, shaft, and cornice. The bas-relief statues on the bridge houses are what make the DuSable Bridge a work of art. Added slightly later, in 1928, the 4 statues draw inspiration from the statues on the Alexander III Bridge and Arc de Triomphe, with people and winged figures representing moments in history or exalted ideals. But the statues on the Michigan Avenue Bridge are uniquely Chicago, representing aspects of the city that it wants to project to the world. The Discoverers, by James Earl Fraser, depicts the first European explorers to find the area that would one day be Chicago, surrounded by Native Americans and wild prairie flora. An angel in a breastplate and helmet holds a shield and torch and points the way forward, representing civilization moving west. The Pioneers, also by Fraser, portrays the first permanent residents of Chicago, fur trappers, farmers, and families. A cow skull sits at the base of their feet, a reminder that the journey was not always easy. An angel holding a laurel crown guides and protects them, representing culture. The bas-relief Pioneers is meant to represent the first denizens of Chicago, but it has come under criticism because Jean-Baptiste Pont-du-Sable, a black man and founder of the city, was ignored until petitions got the bridge renamed in his honor. A bust of DuSable now sits in the adjacent Pioneer Square. Defense by Henry Herring on the southwestern bridge house commemorates the Battle of Fort Dearborn, a skirmish that took place in 1812 between U.S. troops and British allied Native Americans. The bridge now sits on the site where Fort Dearborn once stood. The statue depicts the Native Americans as harsh savages bearing weapons, and the white settlers as women and children cowering behind a soldier poised to defend them. A winged angel flies above, holding a large quill and sheet of parchment, representing history. Regeneration represents Chicago's efforts to rebuild after the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. A female figure stands in front, with a phoenix on her breastplate, representing Chicago rising from the ashes. She's also holding a protractor and parchment, representing the boom in architectural achievements possible after the fire. Around her, men labor tirelessly to rebuild, with the city in flames behind them. Above, an angel flies and blows a trumpet towards the rising sun, signaling Chicago's symbolic victory. The goddess figure stands atop a fire-breathing dragon, further emphasizing Chicago's triumph over the flames. The representation of a city as a woman or goddess dates back to Rome and the goddess Roma, often represented as an armed maiden, reflected here as Chicago in a breastplate. This city goddess was used in political iconography, especially in the early empire, often on coins and with statues in temples, as a way to bolster civic pride, and Chicago signals to her people that they should take pride in their city and their efforts to make it grand. By connecting with these other cities through the DuSable Bridge, Chicago establishes itself in the long tradition of cultural meccas and as a contender as heir of Rome and Roman ideals. Next time you find yourself walking down Michigan Avenue, take some time to really look. You will find Chicago's history and its soul laid bare. These statues and the history surrounding them represent everything Chicago wants to remember and be remembered as. While this has changed throughout the years, one thing that hasn't changed is Chicago's self-proclaimed connection with Rome and its heirs, and as a center of civilization, culture, history, and triumph.